Junior Wels. 1. Biography. He was one bad dude, strutting across the stage like a harp-toting gangster, mesmerizing the crowd with his tough guy antics and rib-sticking Chicago blues attack. Amazingly, Junior Wels kept at precisely this sort of thing for over 40 years. He was an active performer from the dawn of the 50s until his death in the late 90s. Born in Memphis, Wels learned his earliest harp licks from another future legend, Little Junior Parker, before he came to Chicago at age 12. In 1950, the teenager passed an impromptu audition for guitarists Lewis and David Myers at a house party on the South Side, and the Deuces were born. When drummer Fred Below came aboard, they changed their name to the Aces. 2. Singer. Little Walter left Muddy Waters in 1952, in the wake of his hit instrumental, Juke, and Wels jumped ship to take his place with Waters. That didn't stop the Aces, who joined forces with Little Walter, from backing Wels on his initial sessions for States Records, though his debut date produced some seminal Chicago blues efforts, including his first reading of Hoodoo Man, a rollicking Cut That Out, and the blazing instrumentals Eagle Rock and Junior's Wail. More fireworks ensued the next year when he encored for States with a mournful So All Alone and the jumping Lottie. Muddy Waters moonlighted on guitar for the session. Wels was already exhibiting his tempestuous side. He was allegedly AWOL from the Army at the time. 3. Success. In 1957, Wels hooked up with producer Mel London, who owned the Chief and Profile logos. The association resulted in many of Wels' most enduring sides, including I Could Cry and the rock and rolling Lovey-Dovey Lovely One in 1957, the grinding national R&B hit Little by Little, with Willie Dixon providing vocal harmony, in 1959, and the R&B-laced classic Messin' with the Kid in 1960, sporting Earl Hooker's immaculate guitar work. Wels' harp was de-emphasized during this period on record in favor of his animated vocals. With Bob Kester producing, the harpist cut an all-time classic LP for Delmark in 1965. Hoodoo Man Blues vividly captured the feel of a typical Wels set at Teresa's Lounge, even though it was cut in a studio. With Buddy Guy, initially billed as Friendly Chap due to his contract with Chess, providing concise lead guitar, Wels laid down definitive versions of Snatch It Back and Hold It, You Don't Love Me, and Chitlin' Con Carne. The harpist made his second appearance on the national R&B lists in 1968 with a funky James Brown-tinged piece, You're Tough Enough, for Mercury's feisty blue rock logo. Wels had been working in this bag for some time, alarming the purists but delighting R&B fans. His brass-powered 1966 single for Bright Star, Up in Here, had previously made a lot of local noise. After a fine mid-70s set for Delmark, On Tap, little was heard from Wels on vinyl for an extended spell, though he continued to enjoy massive appeal at home. Teresa's was his principal haunt for many a moon, and abroad, whether on his own or in partnership with Guy, they opened for the Rolling Stones on one memorable tour and cut an inconsistent but interesting album for Atco in the early 70s. 4. The end of the career. Toward the end of his career, Wels just didn't seem to be into recording anymore. A pair of sets for Telarc in the early 90s were major disappointments, but his last studio session, 1997's Come On in This House, found him on the rebound and the critics noticed. The album won the W.C. Handy Blues Award for Traditional Blues Album in 1997. Even when he came up short in the studio, Wels remained a potent live attraction, cutting a familiar swaggering figure, commanding the attention of everyone in the room with one menacing yelp or a punctuating blast from his amplified harmonica. He continued performing until he was diagnosed with lymphatic cancer in the summer of 1997. That fall, he suffered a heart attack while undergoing treatment, sending him into a coma. Wels stayed in the coma until he passed away on January 15, 1998. A handful of compilations were released shortly after his death, as was the film Blues Brothers 2000, which featured a cameo by Wels. Research, Vitor Hugo Lizard Leonardi. Hello friend, I am a big music lover and because I thought that without music I would be nothing in this life, I created this channel. The soul is the root of music, and in my humble view, everything we hear today of good music is related to the soul. If you liked it, leave your like and subscribe to the channel of this force so that new content like this can be produced. Thank you very much.